The Ember Pact. Long ago, before the forests grew thick with shadow, and before rivers cut their paths into the sleeping stone, there was a silence across the land. A silence that carried the weight of something waiting to awaken. And in that silence, two creatures, so unlike one another, came to shape the destiny of a forgotten world. The goblins, small and sharp-eyed, were the first to stir. They were not creatures of grandeur, nor of beauty, but of persistence. They lived in hollows, burrows, and winding tunnels, with skin like stone, and eyes that gleamed like bits of broken glass. Where others saw filth or darkness, goblins saw possibility. They mined, they built, they carved from the earth itself. They were survivors of the unseen places. But above them, soaring through skies that seemed older than the world itself, were the dragons. Magnificent, vast, and terrifying, they carried with them the fire of creation, the very breath that had once ignited the stars. Their wings cast shadows longer than valleys, and their eyes, deep and molten, saw through the marrow of all things. To the goblins, the dragons were gods. To the dragons, the goblins were hardly worth noticing. And yet, as is often the way of things, it was the small who changed the great. There came a time when the mountains themselves began to split, and rivers boiled in their beds. The land trembled, for a wound had opened in the heart of the world. From that wound, a fire not of the dragons, nor of the goblins, rose up, a fire that consumed without thought, without balance, without mercy. It devoured forest and stone alike, spreading like a hunger that could never be fed. The dragons tried to fight it. They breathed their flames against it. But this fire laughed at flame, for it was fire unbound, a raw echo of creation gone astray. The goblins tried to bury it, covering it with rock, with tunnels, with all their cleverness they could muster, but still the fire burned, and every attempt only made it stronger. It was then, in that hour of despair, that the goblins and the dragons, so different, so mistrustful, spoke of a pact. The dragons, proud and reluctant, descended from their peaks, their wings folding like tired sails. The goblins, trembling yet resolute, climbed from their burrows with soot-blackened faces and eyes that refused to look away. And there, at the wound in the earth, a covenant was formed. The dragons offered their fire, but shaped, tamed, made to obey. The goblins offered their cunning, their skill in shaping what lies hidden beneath. Together, they would bind the wound, not with force, but with balance. Goblin stone and dragon flame, interwoven, sealed the rupture like scar tissue forming over a wound. And so the Ember Pact was born. For 1,000 years, goblins and dragons lived in uneasy harmony. The goblins built great forges in the roots of mountains, crafting tools of stone and metal tempered by dragon fire. The dragons, in turn, fed their flame carefully into the goblin halls, keeping the balance, ensuring that the hunger fire of the earth would not rise again. But peace, as you well know, is a fragile thing. It is not in the nature of fire to be content, nor in the nature of stone to remain unbroken forever. Over time, pride returned to the dragons. They looked upon the goblins and saw not allies, but dependents, small creatures who would be nothing without their flame. And the goblins, too, began to whisper. They said the dragons were greedy, that they hoarded the skies, while goblins lived in dust and dark. Each side began to forget the wound, the fire, the pact that bound them. And then it happened. In the deepest cavern of the goblins, a young chieftain, reckless and ambitious, sought to harness dragonfire for himself. He crafted vessels of stone and iron, traps to catch the breath of flame, to hold it as if it were a simple tool. And high in the mountains, a dragon, weary of restraint, let its fury break loose upon a valley, burning goblin settlements in a single sweep of fire. The Ember Pact shattered. The wound in the earth stirred once more. The hunger fire awoke, for it feeds not only on forests and stone, but on pride, on betrayal, on the breaking of oaths. And when goblins and dragons turned upon each other, that wound widened. The land convulsed, skies filled with ash, rivers turned to steam. Goblin halls collapsed into molten pits, and dragons too fell from the sky, their wings scorched by a flame even their breath could not tame. It is said that only a few survived. Some goblins, broken and scarred, fled deeper underground than ever before, hiding where the fire could not find them. A handful of dragons, weary and hollow, soared into the farthest reaches of the world, beyond mountains that no one has seen since. And the land still remembers. Even now, if you walk deep enough into forgotten forests or climb high into jagged peaks, you may find remnants of that ancient time. A goblin carving, half buried in stone, depicting a dragon beside it. A scorched feather of flame hidden in the bones of the mountain. Or, if you listen closely, the sound of the earth itself, breathing, waiting. For the Ember Pact, though broken, was never truly erased. A covenant made in desperation lingers longer than memory, longer even than stone or fire. It waits, sleeping, until creatures once again remember that survival is not won by pride or hunger, but by balance. Threads that once broken are harder to weave than the strongest steel. This is why the old ones whisper, "Fear not the goblin's dagger, nor the dragon's flame. Fear instead the silence between them." And that is the tale of the Ember Pact.